Hello and welcome to another endgame tutorial video where I go over all the major endgames so that you can win more of your games when playing chess. In this video, we're going to be going over the queen and pawn endgames, which seems like a very easy thing to convert if you are the side of the queen, but it also can be pretty tricky, and I'll show you a couple ways that it can be tricky and how you can use that to win. So without further ado, let's begin. So we have here a very simple pawn's not really on the second rank yet. And in these kinds of positions, if you have the queen, you're most likely going to win. Where it gets tricky is when the pawn gets to the second rank, as we'll see in some later examples. But if you're white here, all you want to do is one, put the king in check. You can move and then you put your queen there. And as long as you're camped in front of this pawn, say they move here, you can't, black can't really do anything, right? You just slowly bring that king in, and then from here, you take the pawn, and then you end up getting the checkmate. So super easy. When you have the queen and it's not on the second rank, just make sure you get your queen in front and you'll be easily winning. Now, where it gets tricky is when this pawn over here is on the second rank about to promote. Now, there's an easy way for the queen and king to work together to win this endgame, and I'll show you here now. So from here, queen puts the king in check. You're basically wanting to get on these two squares where the king is in these two positions. The reason being, he'll come back, and when the king is in front of the pawn here, that's when you want to move the king up here and get a tempo, bring that king closer to the pawn as quick as possible. He goes here, you throw the check there, he goes back, move the king there again. But let's say the king wants to go over here to e2. What do you do as white here? What you want to do is you want to pin that pawn to the king by going queen to c2 here. And then the king is going to come over here to e1, looking to promote and get that queen. Get the draw, get out of here, but the only resource you have as white is to actually go to the fourth rank, throw a check in front of the king. If he comes here, you just move your queen over here to d3. The king has to come back to e1 or else it's going to lose the pawn. And from here, throw that check, king comes back, move the king there. And so we're getting to the spot that now that the king is close enough to the queen, you can use them to team up, throw that check. King has to come back, and don't just move your king over here to d3 right behind the pawn. What you want to do is you want to flank it. So you put it here, and no matter where it happens, the king has to go to the side with the king. You throw the check there, he can only go there, you have checkmate. So that's how you do a queen pawn endgame when the pawn is on the second rank. There are two different examples though of where this could be a draw. The first is where the pawn is on the rook file and the king is right next to it. You can easily get the draw, as you can see here. After queen to b3 check, king just goes in front of the pawn. And if you throw the check, the king just kind of dances around the pawn. There's no way to really get there without the pawn promoting. And so you're just going to end up with a draw here. There's no way to win this as long as that king is able to get in front of that passed pawn. And then you have when the pawn is on the bishop files on the second rank. How do you go about this? You can go with this typical like queen king combination that I showed you. But there is a way for black to draw here, and that is by going the king into the corner. As you'll see here, the queen is going to go ahead and check the king. The king comes here. You bring the king back. King comes over here to b1. And instead of the king going in front of the pawn, the king comes over here to the corner instead. If you take this pawn here like this, it's a draw. And you drew the game, and there's an easy way of winning it. So if that is the case, what you want to do instead of taking the pawn is you want to go to the queen to c3 check, making that king come back to b1. You then bring the king in. And let's say that the queen. Now, if you take this queen here, you're going to draw the game. But there is a way that you're able to get a checkmate, and that's by going queen to d3 here, forcing that king to the a1 square. And when that happens, you go queen to a6. King has to come back to b1, and you're able to get the checkmate. So those are the basic queen and pawn endgames that you should know when playing in your endgames, especially as a beginner in the game of chess. Knowing these, you're going to win a lot of games that otherwise would have been draws. So if you like that video, please like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop a comment in the section below about what kind of chess topics that you'd like me to cover, and I'll get to them in future videos. You can also follow me at Twitch at twitch.tv/ZachSlegowski, where I provide a lot of different chess content that you, the viewer, can experience live. So our next endgame video is going to be here. We'll see you next time, and you have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye.